We've spoken to a number of veterans with regards to the Commonwealth issue, because a number of them have found themselves having to split up. They were having to pay around £2,389 for a visa. Each family member also having to pay, it could be around £10,000, and who can afford that right now with the cost of living? You fought hard, you lobbied to get that visa scrapped. Where does it stand now?
Well, we've got one of a family of four being paid, right? So you've got like a 23% solution. Now, if you want me to go out and do backflips and say that we've won and we've got a great solution, then, I mean, Dan Jarvis, who's campaigned on this for a long time and done a great job, it's not really good enough. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. There's no point having a sort of moral outrage on this situation and delivering a 23% solution and pretending the whole thing's solved. Because if you are a family who are going through that, you're going to feel like, particularly if I think it's important, if politicians and leaders go off and say, look, we've sorted this out, and you're a family of four and you're like, you haven't really, because you've taken my bill from 10 grand down to 7 grand. And I'm still a Lance Corporal, and that is an incredible amount of money to save, to stay with a military that I was prepared, in a country that I was prepared to sacrifice my life for. For me, it remains disgraceful, I'm afraid. And I will continue, I'm not going to change my view because, ministers or others want me to congratulate them on their work. What has the Home Secretary and the Defence Secretary have come up with is not good enough. And we will keep going. Yes, of course, I'm grateful that, one person of a family of four gets a visa. Yes, it's better than none. Is it what we were looking for, or the RBL were looking for, or frankly, the right thing to do? No. And we'll keep fighting that battle. But again, this issue's been there for 5, 6, 7 years and no one's ever done anything about it. So, you've got to accept the progress when it comes and be grateful for that as well.
Ukraine, of course, has been dominating the headlines 4 months in now to the Russian invasion. Do you think we should still be sitting on the sidelines?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get into a place of direct conflict with Russia. I mean, you're going down a very dark path. But I think, I feel like I'm completely fair to the Defence Secretary and others. I think he's done a really good job on Ukraine. I think he's done a great job. I think he was one of the first to see the threat coming down the road, and he was one of the earliest advocates or an early adopter of supporting Ukraine. And the armed forces out there have done a terrific job in terms of supporting Ukrainians as much as we possibly can. The logistics of getting weapons to them and so on is not easy, and the MOD's done a great job on that. Look, are we going to get our hands dirty? I don't think so. How's it going to end? It's really hard to tell. I mean, Russia is clearly there for the long haul. I think the immediate threat to Kyiv has gone, but what's going to happen in Donetsk and Donbass, you just don't know. So, it's still a long way to go. These guys have been at war since 2014, though, in those regions. It's not new to them. And we need to, I think, just be really clear with the Ukrainian people how rigidly and firmly we're prepared to stand by them, particularly after, the debacle in Afghanistan.
Typical Johnny fashion. You went out there, you wanted to get your hands dirty and see what was going on. You met with civvies who had actually turned soldier. What was that like?
It was amazing. These guys are great. I mean, I've never been involved in a conflict where you have that kind of total war, right? Where you're expecting the Russian, the British Army's trained like for the Russians to come down the street for the last 50, 60 years, right? Well, actually in Kyiv, they are at the end of the street, and I saw the Russians and they were trying to get into Kyiv. It's a different environment, and watching these incredibly brave people step up, whether they've been a soldier before, whether they haven't, in defending. And, the spirit, the thing that really struck me was the human spirit, right, of defiance and commitment. That it's not Afghanistan, it's not Iraq, it's a very new conflict, and the level of commitment that they have displayed, together with things like the technologies that you can use now at a much lower level, at the tactical level, I think you will still see an outcome that is not what everyone predicted.
Last week, volunteers from Never Surrender lobbied Ben Wallace for a meeting to discuss the MOD giving more support to those taking medical aid to battalions on the front line, and they want the Ministry of Defence to open its old stores, release surplus stock which is past its date for current forces standards. Will you get behind their bid to do that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's basic stuff, isn't it? Ben, I know Ben has striven night and day to get everything he can to Ukraine. So, he will, I'm sure, do everything he can to support this. It's well within his intent. Yeah, he's deeply committed to the mission. So I think I think he, of course, I support it, but I think more importantly he will, and it will become a reality.
We teamed up with Job Opera, who are working hard to encourage businesses to seek
Yeah.
constant uniform and give those leaving service opportunities. I've been checking out your LinkedIn. You're now a strategic advisor for With You, With Me. Tell us a little bit more about that work.
So this thrust I have around veterans care continues, right, irrespective of what happens in politics. So obviously, it's gone a bit south in politics. I got chucked out of the government. I am determined to make this country, better for the veterans community. And there's this a group called With You, With Me, who are operating in Australia and Canada, and it's all about just getting guys and girls into better employment. You've got, people look at our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan, first thing they think of is a kind of broken generation. I'm afraid I have completely the reverse for you. I think we've got a golden generation of amazing people who dealt with extraordinarily technical kit in very difficult environments. And what you've got to do is kind of bring down the barriers of them getting into really fulfilling jobs, whether it's in the tech sector or whatever it may be. And that's what these guys do through aptitude testing. All you do is do their aptitude tests with You, With Me, and and you'll get matched with good jobs, and just see what's available out there. You don't even then have to go and get the job, but certainly when I was leaving, I'd love something like this to have been there. I can't recommend highly enough that everyone just does those aptitude tests, and just see where you stand, see what the options are, see what your potential is, because far too many people come out of the military and go into jobs that underemploy them. And as we all know, having a job is the single biggest factor in improving the life chances of a veteran or indeed his family. So I'm deeply committed to that, and that continues whether I'm in government or not.
And as we come to a close, I've noticed a change in the landscape since we started our Forces of Change campaign 5 years ago. More organisations, more support available. So what's the future look like for veterans? You said there, this is a golden generation. Is it looking bright?
I think we're getting there. I think the government needs to decide whether it's going to commit to this agenda or not. Because if it's not, it needs to kind of back out and not use up kind of goodwill and declining resource in promising the best country in the world to be a veteran, whilst not really doing the actions to do that, right? So the government needs to make up its mind. Can it regain on that and deliver that vision? Yes, absolutely. And I speak to the Prime Minister regularly on it, but they do need to make a decision as to which way they go. Failing that, I will continue this drive. I think opportunities for veterans have never been better than they are today, through people like you and others. And you look at the amazing groups that I know will be with you today, and companies who jobs and all the rest of it. But look, I feel like the offer still isn't good enough for our veterans in this country. The unmet need is too big. There are too many people falling through the gaps still, and I will continue to strive night and day to close those. Why? Well, it's just it's me, I'm afraid. I can't really get rid of it. In some ways, I'd like someone else to come and do it in politics, because I'd quite like to go and move on to other stuff. But until I see someone with a kind of an unbiddable approach to veterans, I'll keep going for now.
That's it, Johnny Mercer. Thank you so much for doing that Q&A this afternoon. We all wish you well and a speedy recovery.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.